Okay, number 1 says, in 2015, there were 245,678 miles of railways in the United States. There were 112,597 more miles of railways in the United States in the 1900s. How many miles of railways were there in the 1900s? First thing you need to do is get rid of the years. Mark out 2015, 1900, 1900. Don't let that confuse you. Then it says there were 245,678 miles in 1 year, and then the next year there were more. So we're going to add, because that word more. So we're going to add 245,678 plus 112,597. And once we do that, we should get 358,275, which the answer is C. Number 2, it says Sandra's mom gave her $20 to buy school supplies. She spent $4.50 on pencils for school. She also brought 2 packs of pens for $3.45 each. She gave the remaining amount of money to her sister. How much money did Sandra give to her sister? Well, the first thing we need to do is see how much money she spent. So we have 2 packs of pens for $3.45 each. So we're going to add those two numbers together. $3.45 plus $3.45. Okay, remember when we are adding decimals, we have to make sure we line them up and drop down the decimal in the correct place. When we do that, we should get 6.90. Then we have to add the $4.50 that she spent on pencils. So we're going to add 6.90 plus 4.50, and we should get $11.40. Then we have to subtract that amount from the $20 that she had. Okay, let's see. So then we have 20 minus 1140. Make sure your decimals are lined up in the correct place. 0 minus 0 is 0. You can't do 0 minus 4, so you have to borrow. You can't borrow anything from 0, so you have to go to the 2 and make it a 1. And then that becomes a 9, and then that becomes a 10. So 10 minus 4 is 6, 9 minus 1 is 8, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So then she gave $8.60 to her sister, which is D. Number 3 says Mrs. Jackson used a table to show the relationship between 2 sets of numbers as shown below. Which statement best describes the relationship between set A and set B? So if set A is our input and set B is our output, then all it wanted us to do was to find the rule. So if you go through here and you take each answer choice, like if you said 6 plus 5, well 6 plus 5 is 11, so I know it can't be A. Minus 5, 6 minus 5 is 1, so I know it can't be B. Divided by 5. 6 divided by 5, well, it's not going to be 30, so I know it's not C. Then I get down here to D, times 6 times 5 is 30. Then 8 times 5 is 40, 11 times 5 is 55, and 15 times 5 is 75. So I know my answer is D. The rule was times 5. Okay, number 4. It says the city council ordered 85 dozen donuts for a community event. How many donuts did the donut shop make for the event? 85 dozen. A dozen is 12. I've got to make sure that I multiply 85 times 12. This was 2-digit by 2-digit. So I'm going to take 2 times 5, which is 10. My 0 goes at the bottom. My 1, I carry my 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus that 1 is 17. Then I have to put a 0 as a placeholder. Then I have 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 8 is 8. Then I have to add those two numbers together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 8 is 10. Making it 1,020 donuts. Number 5. The table below shows the areas in square miles of each of the greatest lakes. It says how much larger is the largest lake than the smallest lake. So you had to find the largest lake, which was Lake Superior, and the smallest lake, which was Lake Ontario. And then you had to subtract those two numbers. 82,414 minus 19,529. And you should have got 62,885 when you subtracted that. Okay, then number 6. Or a couple different ways you could do number 6. It says the table below shows the attendance at some professional soccer games in the local areas. It says game 1 had 22,597 people. Game 2 had 39,607 people, and Game 3 had 44,210 people, and we're missing the total number of people in Game 4, but we know the total attendance of all 4 games was 144,708, and so we're trying to find the missing part, or we're trying to find Game 4. So you could have added Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3 numbers together and then subtracted that from the total, which was 38,294. Okay, but then let's go down here and it says, look at the drop-down menu. The attendance for Game 4 was, your answer was 38,294. And then it says, which different way could you have done this? And it wants you to pick the second choice, 144,708 minus 44,210 minus 39,607 minus 22,597. I'm doing a video. Go. So subtracting, taking the total and then subtracting the rest of them from them is the same thing as adding these 3 up, then subtracting. So these 2 are your answers. Number 7, Ezra is putting new strings on some guitars. Each guitar needs 6 strings, and Ezra has 252 strings. How many guitars will Ezra be able to string completely? Enter the correct answer. Okay, well, let's look. He's got a group of strings, and he's got to separate them by 6 and put them into groups of 6. So we're going to take 252 and we're going to divide by 6 to see how many guitars he can string. Well, the first thing we need to do is make our 6's T-chart. Okay, then we start with divide. 25 divided by 6. I don't see 25, but I see 24 because I've got to get as close as I can without going over. So my 4 goes on top, my 24 goes on bottom. 25 minus 24 is 1. Bring down my 2. Now I start over. 12 divided by 6 is 2. I can see it on my chart, so I put my 2 at the top and my 12 at the bottom. I don't have anything left over. I don't have anything else to bring down. So he could string 42 guitars. Okay, number 8. It took Ian 3 years to collect 25,413 aluminum cans to recycle. In the first year, he collected 8,917 cans, and in the second year, he collected 7,639 cans. Which equation can be used to find X, the number of cans Ian collected in the third year? Well, if we set up a strip diagram, then we know our total is 25,413. And one part is 8,917, and second part is 7,639, and we're trying to find the third part, or X. So that makes our answer A. Number 9, Gina collects stamps and displays them in an album. She has placed 78 of her 138 stamps in the album. If there are 6 pages left in the album, which strip diagram represents X, the number of stamps she should place on each page if she wants the same number of parts on 6 pages? So her total is 138 stamps. Her first part is 78, and then she has 6 equal parts left. So the answer would have to be D. We have to have 138 as our total, 78 is one of our parts, and then 6 equal parts. Number 10. Coach King purchased boxes of tennis balls for a tournament. Each box contains 183 tennis balls. She will use 6 boxes each day during a 3-day tennis tournament. Okay, so we have to figure out how many she's going to use during one day. So 183 times 6, because that's how many balls she's going to use during one day. Okay, then it's asking us how many would she use in a 3-day tournament. Then we're going to take that answer, 1,098, and multiply it by 3. And so then our first answer choice should have been 1,098, and our second answer choice should have been 3,294. Number 11 says, Mr. Rye has 15 roses and 21 daisies to put in 3 vases. He wants to put the same number of roses in each vase and the same number of daisies in each vase. How many flowers will be in each vase? So if we look at this, we first need to add the number of roses and daisies together to see how many flowers we have. And 15 plus 21 would be 36. And then we have to divide that by 3 vases. And 36 divided by 3 comes out equally into 12. So there'll be 12 flowers in each vase. And if we took it a step further, it would actually be 6 roses and 6 daisies in each vase, but we're not going to do all that. Okay, number 12. The Garden High School Auditorium holds 1,650 people when all seats are occupied. When the usher took the attendance, he noticed 247 seats were empty. Which strip diagram represents why the number of seats that were occupied? So we have to find the one that has 1,650 as the total. And then we have to have one of the parts is 247. And then y is going to be the part we're looking for. So again, we didn't have to solve it. We just had to figure out how to solve it. Number 13. On Thursday, 50 books were returned to a library. On Friday, 4 times as many books were returned to the library as that were returned on Thursday. Which set of equations can be used to find B, the total number of books that were returned on these 2 days? So the first thing we have to do is figure out how many books were returned on Friday. So we had 50 books on Thursday, and then we had 4 times that amount on Friday. So we've got to multiply 50 times 4. Then that'll give us Friday's amount. But it told us Thursday's amount. And then the question says, what's the total for these 2 days? So then we're going to take that 200 on Friday and add it to the 50 on Thursday and get our answer. So our answer should have been D. Number 14. Look at the set of numbers in set A and set B in the table. Look at the table. How would you find the missing numbers in set B? Well, if this is your input, set A is your input, and set B is your output, then you have to do the same each time. So just start at A. 39 plus 10, is it 33? No. Go down to B. Add 9 to set A. 39 plus 9, is it 33? No. Go down to C. 39 minus 6, is it 33? Yes. Okay, try the second one. 29 minus 6, is it 23? Yes. 19 minus 6, is it 13? Yes. So C is going to be our answer. Number 15, the 5th grade is planning a field trip. There will be 136 children and 30 teachers and parents on the trip. If each van holds 8 people, how many vans are needed to carry all the students and adults? Well, the first thing we have to do is find out how many people are going. So there's 136 children and then 30 teachers and adults. So we have to add 136 plus 30. Notice this says 30 teachers and parents. They've already combined that. It's not 30 teachers and 30 parents. It's 30 teachers and 30 parents. So there's 30 adults and 136 children. So we add that together first and we should get 166. Then we have to put those into groups of 8. So we have to divide 166 by 8. So we got to make sure we make our T-chart. And then we start. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So my 2 goes up here. My 16 goes down here. That's 0. Bring down my 6. Now this is smaller. I can't do this. 6 divided by 8. I can't do that. So I have to put a 0 up here. Okay. Now this is my remainder. This is what's left over. So my answer is 20 remainder 6. But remember when we talked about that keyword all? We can't leave anybody behind. So we're going to have to add 1, making that 21. So then our answer is going to be C, 21. Number 16. On her math homework, Demetria had to write 10 equations. Select 2. You had to select 2 to get it right below that are true. So all you had to do was take each question and take the numbers and do what it says and see if you get the same answer that they got. So A said 13.72 plus 19.4 plus 16 equals 49.12, and that one was right. Okay, then if you go to this one and you say 373 plus 119.26, it's not going to be 482.00. And you can tell right away because this has a decimal and this one doesn't. So you would have a decimal if you were adding. And then C, 946.3 minus 15.35 equals 931. And that's not true. But then you get to D, and you have 101.05 minus 27.22. It does equal 73.83. So those were your two correct answers.